To get started. So I take it everyone's grabbed some snacks and some refreshments and they're settled in for the night. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Cottfn Hendrick, and I was asked about 9:30 this morning to come on in tonight and to moderate here for all of you today. My experience is I did do this in the past. It was quite fun, so I said, why not volunteer to do it again? Some of the ground rules, we do have some ground rules. They were available there at the back table. Everyone can hear me very clearly, right? This is the same mic that all the candidates will be using tonight as well. Ground rules, if you have not grabbed it, get the little piece of paper that's in there in the back. Participation, so tonight is just a night, it's just an opportunity to hear from our candidates that are running for a future leadership that's going to serve for us over a term of the next 2 years. It's just a night chance to hear them speak, and it brings some good feeling, or it gives you an idea of what each candidate's about, right? When you hear people speak, you can hear and you can feel what their true intentions are, right? What matters to them, what they bring to the table, what's at the top of their head, right? It gives everyone like a clear perspective of who it is that you're bringing forward to the table. Tonight is going to be a respectful night, so again, there are some of the rules that we're going to respect, that there's going to be a broad range of perspectives and viewpoints in the room tonight. We are going to listen with open ears and open minds what candidates have to say. We're going to let them finish speaking as well. So we're going to have everyone respect each other's time that they have. Each candidate is going to be given a time slot, only so much time in which to answer each and every question. We're going to respect that everyone has wisdom here to share in the room tonight, and also that the more people engage through participation, the wiser we all become. We're going to use appropriate language, so everyone should, I hope, by now know what appropriate language is. Please do not try to slang or defer from the appropriate language theme. I have Candace over here, she's my muscle for tonight. She's the one, she'll give a flag, we'll give a little warning to those who are in the audience, but I'm hoping more or less that everyone's going to respect some of the rules tonight, and that our candidates will respect each other, so no kicking, spitting, fighting, pushing, any kind of slander whatsoever. We're going to keep a focus on some of the issues and some of the solutions. They're going to come together again tonight, like I said, to share ideas, visions of what the future is for the future of the membership. We're going to keep those questions generic enough for all the candidates to address. So we're asking no specific issues or questions in regards to whose house has what and who's doing what to whom, so on and so forth. I know that's probably surprising to hear from me, but that's the reality of it. So tonight we want to keep it broad, we want to keep it generic, just so that everybody can answer that question. Not all of our candidates here tonight are going to know what the current issues may be, so that's why we want to be able to hear what their future is. We don't want to go back, point blame, point fingers. We want to take a look and hear what their clear vision, the inspiration, the motivation, the positive energy and drive is going to be behind tonight. My role as the moderator, it's going to be my role here to manage the time and ensure that a structured process is followed. So again, making sure that everyone gets their time allotted. Don't worry, candidates, if you don't use up your whole 2 or 3 minutes, don't feel that you have to. At any time you can feel that you can pass on the question. Please though, keep within that time frame. So what I'm going to suggest for our candidates tonight, that you all received a paper tonight. It's giving you some space there in which to write and jot down your points. Make your points very specific, because you're going to have a very limited time in which to answer some of the questions. I'd also like to bring it to the attention of the audience here tonight that your candidates, I imagine most of them will stick around, and so if you have further questions or you want to get to further elaborate answers with them, you'll have some time, I guess, once we have finished up the evening to speak with them in person, okay? Once I've given the floor to someone, I'm going to ask again that you respect their time by listening and not speaking at the same time. So once somebody has the mic, it's their time to speak, it's their time to be able to share what they have to share. I'm going to ask that nobody try and overcome or oversee anybody in regards to that response. In regards to questions, so there is a couple of questions that we do have already picked out, just in regards to introductions, what their leadership brings to the table and what they expect to accomplish in the next 2 years, or what their vision or their goals are. Afterwards, there are going to be open questions from the audience, and you're going to see in the back here behind me, there's 2 question boards. You can write your questions up there if you'd like to have a question brought forward. And again, remember to make that question generic enough for everybody to answer. If you don't want to write it on the board, know that there's extra sheets of paper back over there where Jaden's sitting. Yay, over there at the introduction table, she gave a wave. If you don't want your question on the board. Some of our volunteers that are here tonight will take some of those questions, and if not generic enough, they might turn around a little bit. Don't worry, they'll ask you first before they do so, just to make sure that they still have the true intent of what your question is. So, without further ado, we're going to get into our Chiefs panel here tonight. I see we have 3 candidates for Chief that came, so thank you so much for coming tonight. We have Leslie Wide-Eye over there, give a little wave. We have Mayangan Henry, and we have Beverly Delary. So our first question to each of the candidates tonight, they're going to be given 3 minutes just to do an opener introduction to themselves. Like I said tonight, we only do have the one mic, so we'll go ahead and pass it along. Know that the next question, I'll start with someone different to start. Okay?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Leslie Wide-Eye. I am Ogimakwe, Chippewas Bay Thames First Nation, and have had an incredible time serving you as your chief for the last 2 years. It's been a humbling experience. It's been a rewarding experience. It's been an incredible learning curve. I've taken my family for the ride, and they've been completely supportive. I couldn't have done this without Dennis's support and taking care of our children and supporting us in finding the time to still make time for family. I have 3 children. My oldest is going on 22. She's traveling the world right now, so I have this kind of thin thread maintained to keep in contact with her and make sure everything's going well. She's teaching me a lot of things through her travels, and I'm really appreciative of that. I have a 13-year-old who's going into grade 7 and pretty much gained about a foot in height in the last year. And then I have an 11-year-old Tweets, who is, boy, I need to get her in the Supreme Court. She's going to be a judge someday and just knock the socks off everybody. I'm a proud member of this nation. I'm really, have always been active in the community because I love this place. I think I've put a lot of time into, just because I like community development. I was on the Powell Committee for 20 years, and I was helped organize a homecoming in 2012, and I've been part of the Heritage Language and Culture Committee for many years prior to becoming a trustee at the Thunderbird Trust. I have a master's degree in educational leadership and a BA in political science, and I have a Bachelor of Education in teacher education. So I'm a certified teacher. I taught at what used to be known as Virginia William Elementary, and now called Antler River, but I really have a hard time remembering that. I still call it Leaching. I served there for about 9 years, and and there, I guess, is that love for commitment to the youth. I learned a lot from those children, young people during that time, and how much they're just shining bright stars and sponges and just ready to learn. I've taken that approach and how much we as adults can create incredible environments for children just by listening and just by being there and hosting, and I took that into the community. I love a challenge. I feel completely challenged by this job. I'm feeling that it's completely rewarding in that regard. I think it's a great opportunity for me to bring to bear my experiences working in government, my experiences working in the community. I think it also sits well with me because I'm a constant learner. I'm not afraid to pick up a text or talk to a person or seek advice or call a team together in a think tank session to talk about the issues that surround us here in the community and the opportunities. If you come into my office, I have to wrap up, and you'll see a bulletin board that I love very much and use regularly to map out all the conversations we're having as a team in the office. Pretty much.
So watch for Dana, she'll give you the markers back there.
Okay, wait.
That's our warm-up. She has the markers.
Okay, time to go. Ujo Mahinga Nadeshnikas, Deshkins even known to love. I know them. I'm a proud member of this nation. Chippewas of the Towns is where both my parents come from. They were residential school survivors that I think had an idea that if they took us to a place where there was a lot of industry, we would probably get into the work field and become pretty good workers. And I learned very well from my father to spend a lot of my time working and to build something for my family the best I can. And I think I was raised that way right from young. And today I'm very proud, even though my father's not here anymore, I think he can be proud of me for what he's taught me and how I think we can move forward. But starting in Detroit, definitely as a young man, learning a little bit about who I was as an Ojibwe person. One of my first, I guess, examples of being Anishinaabe was during the time of Wounded Knee, South Dakota, when a number of families in Detroit went over to Wounded Knee, and I was with them to a certain point. I didn't go right to Wounded Knee, but with the group that was in Detroit, I hung with them and we did some ceremonies, and I first learned about, our own culture. I think through that method, I learned about smudging, and I kind of grew up in that phase where I learned challenge becomes something that we need to understand. And it did me good because through my teen years I had to take some of those lessons and to utilize them just to get through the teen years. It was very tough. Of course, all teen years are. But growing up as an adult, I look back now and I say I'm glad I had those challenges so that I can, I guess, now make better decisions. So during my adult years, very fortunate to have been given the honor of being a father of 4 children. And that's been such a tremendous example of helping me understand who I am. Now I'm a grandfather, and I have a very beautiful, wonderful grandson, and he lives close to me. And I've been to school, learned a lot in the education system. Now I teach in a college, university setting, and I work at the Law Society, Bumper Canada, do a lot of work. I do a lot of traditional work, and I don't do that for everything I do. I try to balance everything that I have and try to make my life, I guess, a little bit accommodating to everything that's necessary. Very, very concerned about environmental issues, very, very concerned about our language, and very concerned about this nation and how we can move forward as a family and having this opportunity to take this, and I'll run with it the best I can. Be well.
Also, aprendi uma casa de Cottfn modelo. I'm just starting to learn my language. I took a course over when I went to Western. Currently I'm a student at Western. I'm in my second year of First Nation Studies program there. My father was chief after delirium. My dad was chief for, as many of you all know, for many years. I grew up in that atmosphere. I got to learn to know what to expect. I've had many people come to our home in all hours of the night wanting to talk to my dad about things and asking his advice and stuff. And so I kind of, our door was always open so that once he created that word, the open word policy, and that stuck with me. I grew up in the atmosphere. I think the biggest thing that I have for me is my life experience.
Even better informed about our legal rights, our inherent rights, our treaty rights, all the things that we know and share as an important part of Chippewas and Thames First Nation. Language and culture, what I teach, definitely can come into play here because I know this community is looking at culture and they want something, and I think we can deliver. There's infrastructure issues that we can deal with that I've worked on, and housing, poverty, knowing full well we can accommodate and work with people we reach.
Wow, we have much time. Okay, so I guess the biggest thing is that the nation be self-sufficient. In order to do that, I'm thinking that the projects that we need to generate need to have long-term growth and prosperity for all members. I'm not just talking about the ones on the First Nation, but also the ones off the First Nation as well. I want to address the housing problem in regards to the mold issues. 80% of our homes on the First Nation have mold. I see that a lot of the houses now have steel roofs on there. That's good, but you still have the mold in the house. In order to do that, I was thinking that you take the First Nation and you sector out each section. You assess the whole situation, and you find out which houses which houses need the most work. Go in there. If that means gutting the place out, gut it. Because if you know, mold relates to health problems, and our babies are in those homes. I want us to assert our jurisdiction over our land and our territories, and address the our own child welfare system.
So the question is, share your personal background and experience that you feel would help if you were in the role of chief. Since last 2 years has left me with some really incredible experiences working at the local level, here in the community, the regional level, working with partners like Habitat for Humanity, City of London, Fanshawe College, King's College, Western, local partnerships that have come and walked through the door asking what is it we do here and how is it that we could potentially do something together. I also, from my work experience, draw upon work with the region provincially through an engagement consultation process that I was responsible for in Native languages document development, and I also will call upon my experience in overseeing a large project worth multiple millions of dollars in the development of a Native Studies textbook in Ontario. We were able to produce 2 textbooks. I was the project lead, and I draw upon that in terms of project management and seeing things to completion. Did you put right up?
Right at the
Thank you so much for that first question. Yep, Candace is in the back there. She's keeping time on the side. The time is going to fly by super fast. We do have a second question here for our chief candidates. So our second question, which will have 2 minutes, so again, remember, have your points highlighted. If elected, what do you hope to accomplish over a 2-year term and how? So I'm going to start with Beverly. I'm sure there's lots.
That's why I went so fast. I read the wrong question. Okay, so, like I was saying, so address the mold and the housing problem. We need to fix our seniors pension fund so that it lasts. Right now that we opened up that door to add new membership to our nation without having a membership code, that was dangerous. Because what that did is that skewed those numbers. And in order for that trust to last, that pension to last, I don't think that should have been done until you had your membership code in place. That was one of the things that the community wanted. They wanted to get our elders out of poverty. And a lot of our elders, the community wanted that. And I was very surprised to learn that there was all of these people being added to the membership. Some of these people had no bloodline here. They just wanted to be members. To me, that was disturbing because I thought, you know what? When we were in that role, when we were making those decisions, our lawyers told us at the time that we couldn't add any more people to the membership. Because if we did, we didn't have enough in there to last. I'm not worried about I'm 46 years old. I'm not worried about that money. I'm worried about the money for her, the money for our grandkids. That's what I'm worried about. The next is the child welfare system. I've been personally involved in the child welfare system for 5 years. I'm not proud of that. But we need to assert our jurisdiction over our children. We've never given that right up.
So if I was given a mandate to continue the work, I would continue what we've been doing. last term, it will happen in this audit, and they're easier to read, and they're itemized by department, and you're gonna see what comes in and what comes out, and you're able to identify exactly what each department is spending and where. That's just one example. One key part of what I think is important is communications. I wrote 13 bulletins to help inform the community about what was happening in the Chief Council table. Attached to that was the minutes, so you could see what decisions were being made at the council table. We now have a sign out front. We have a very active social media account as a result of a very quality communications team that have put their hearts into getting as much information as possible out through social media. There's more work to be done in terms of engagement. I've thoroughly enjoyed spending time with the elders about every month and a half for the last 2 years, just sitting and talking. And it's come to be a really important place just to sit and listen, but also discuss current issues that we address at the council table. I want to continue to leverage the relationships on economic development, develop and foster our own businesses. The gala was a success in terms of identifying 58 businesses here. There's more, and I want to use those, leverage that relationship with the London Chamber of Commerce, City of London, and others to pump up those businesses, promote those businesses, market small entrepreneurship, and develop more entrepreneurs by pouring more resources into youth entrepreneurship and youth financial literacy. 2 minutes is up. Thank you.
In 2 minutes, I'm going to summarize what I'm going to do. The first thing you're going to see out of me is a work plan that's going to be identifiable to you. You're going to know where I am all the time. You're going to see the work that I've done, and we're going to accommodate your needs by talking to you as much as possible to see where we're at on the work plan. In the first year, we're going to organize our committees and get things proper and optimized the best way we can. In the second part of the first year, we're going to look at the CCP because we need to update that. Actually, we have our working orders in place under the CCP, and we can utilize that to build our future together and update it as we go. We're going to look at our financial law and put that into place because it's necessary to be accountable, and we need to do that more. Definitely in the first year, we're going to really look at the infrastructure and look at these roads. You know, it's embarrassing to drive down some of these roads. We're going to take a real hard look at those so people don't have to wreck their cars when they're driving on the res roads. In year 2, we're going to build these partnerships. That's going to be allowing us to build jobs and to create a better atmosphere for people to work. Employment, environmental protection, prosperity, which is mentioned in the CCP. And I want to bring the college learning here within 2 years. I worked with the education industry. We can have a learning environment here within 2 years and even before that. We're going to have mostly, though, after 2 years, trust, solidarity, and this community will look beautiful.
Everybody, good evening. I just want to thank everybody for coming out. I'm giving my regrets for my father, Larry French. Everybody knows him as Dutchie. He wasn't able to attend tonight. He had a prior engagement in the States. Tried to get out of it. He wasn't able to. So he just wants to let everybody know, he doesn't need the whole minute, first of all. Him be short, to the point. He's pretty blunt. He just wants to tell you he's going to be the chief. If he is the chief, we voted him for the chief. He'll be the chief for the people. He'll listen to the people. He'll listen to his counsel, and he'll not run his own agenda. And if you were to speak with him, his door will always be open, and he'll be in his office. And he will be a local chief, not somebody that has to be cross-country. So that's all he has to say. Thank you very much. We wish.
Thank you, Bruce, for that. So we have a few questions that are coming from the audience now. There's 2 that I'm going to ask. There's 2 here that are generic enough. I'm thinking which each of the candidates are going to be able to speak to. And you'll have 2 minutes to answer to each of these. So I'll give you your first question. Actually, I'll give you both both of you. The first question I may have is, how do you plan to engage your community in all aspects of our nation? It's open, it's kind of a broad, generic question. Unfortunately, we wrote their name to it, so I couldn't ask for more information. And I think people are just looking for more information just in regards to what's happening with the nation. I take it. No, yeah, is that you?
In regards to that question, what I'm meaning by that is, I would like to know how you're going to go about engaging each and every one of us in this nation going forward.
Okay, so I'll give each of the candidates that question, so I'll give each 2 minutes. Or you want to go back to the front? Oh, I got a volunteer. Okay, so 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Okay, congrats for that, because that was one of my things I was going to do is, yep. So I think it's important to, when you're engaging with the community, that you have those monthly meetings and stick to those and have them webcasted. And that gives people who are off reserve a chance to take part in the discussions that need to take place. Not only the discussions, but the coming up with the solutions, right? Asking the questions. Meeting with the elders, meeting with the youth, meeting with the community as separately and as a whole. I think it's important that you have when you're dealing with different issues and different topics, that you have it, that I was thinking of having monthly meetings. So let's say, for example, health, right? You have everything to do with health, you have a community come in, you webcast that. Also that, another thing that we've tried that I want to see start back up is the families. Because not everybody comes and feels comfortable coming to the meetings, right? So what you do is you have those family members that are in that family. Like with my family, I have, there's 3 of us that we go to. So if something's going on that we need to know something about, we can look to those 3 people and say, ask those questions. I'm one of those people in our family that do that. The rest of my family don't feel comfortable with asking questions and stuff, so they bring it to me and I ask the questions for them. To engage the community a little bit more better, I would think it's going to be just asking them what they want, right? Engaging the community, making them part of this. You don't, with the chief and council, just because we're our chief and council doesn't mean that we have all the answers, right? A lot of the solutions come from the people. So having the people drive the community, or drive the chief and council, and making them part of that solution on all aspects, officer and non-reserve, pretty much.
That's a really, really good question, because engaging is always a question of how we talk to people, because there's different ideas. We need to have this opportunity to share, to hear. One of the things that I know what we need to do better is to listen. Most people that get on council, they like to talk, but they don't listen. And we need to start hearing people, because without hearing them, we don't know where they're coming from. We need our radio station to be equipped and running so that we can hear what's going on, community engagements. We can have a house-to-house campaign whenever it's necessary, and I'd love to do that, because it'd be nice to visit people in their own setting where they feel comfortable, because people don't like to talk sometimes in settings like this, but we can do that in their own homes. Under the financial law, we have to meet 4 times a year. That's exactly what is necessary for us to do when we talk about our finances. Let's do that. We need to let people talk, and that's what I mentioned before, but I also had an idea. We have history here of how things took place. We have chiefs who were in office before that knew how things worked. I want to build a think tank with all those past chiefs, the ones who you chose as leaders, because they have that knowledge. Let's pull these chiefs together and respect them and give them a chance to talk about things so that we know where we're coming from, and then we can deliver that to the band members. Because if we get in office and we don't know the foundations of these things, how do we deliver without having the background? So I'd really like to get ourselves together with past leaders and then bring that knowledge to the band members so that those decisions aren't just coming out of the air. There's something that we found, the foundational pieces of making those decisions came from this direction, So I want to pull that think tank together of elders, of youth, of previous chiefs and people, and when we talk to our band members, we'll know everything we need to do to move forward. So that's a plan that I think would work really well, and I want to thank you for listening.
So some of the things that we tried this term that were new, as we went online and did surveys, when we wanted to know from the community about whether to host election again, by-election, we went online and offered a survey to get feedback to see what the response would be. But we also went door to door to seek out what people's response would be. That definitely garnered way more results than what we've been getting necessarily at community meetings. I think that those approaches should be continued. Another thing we did differently is we reformatted the way the AGM's presentations took place, so they weren't necessarily all focused on someone speaking and listening. I think there was real reward in finding ways to work the format so people could work in small groups and talk amongst themselves at different tables with different departments, and then come back to a circle and have a circle round table so people could listen more intently to each other. I think we've got facilitation training that took place most recently to help even build our own capacity, and the director is responsible for engaging community on their programs. We see the benefit in building capacity that way, so we put some resources into that. The other thing I think we've seen great success in the past and also last term was giving surveys at the time when people gather the most. So at the Christmas gesture time, you get 500 to 600 people out there, and so we would leverage that opportunity to work with everyone and get their feedback through those paper surveys. That seems to have been a great success, and I can't see why we wouldn't continue that. The other thing is I personally have hosted mock councils, so it allows me to work closely with the grade 8 class each for the past 2 years. We host a council so we can ask them specific current issues of the day that the council is working on. Those are things I think have worked and we'll want to continue.
So I do have another question here from the audience for all of our chief candidates. The next question is, how will you ensure community safety after hours? It says, given that police are not available at 4:30 p.m. So I'm assuming it comes in regards to more serious safety issues, I guess, that happen when police are not present. I know it says after 4:30 p.m., but I mean, whenever police surveillance isn't available. So I guess just what are your ideas around community safety? I'm going to start, so I'll start with my name and his time. And again, I have 2 minutes, maybe 2 minutes.
2 minutes. I know that some of our elders are very worried, especially in the evening, because there's people here that when there's nobody else around, they come and visit them. And it's not just strangers, it's family members sometimes that come in and they take money from elders. We need to protect our elders, and we have to find a way to make sure that this community stays safe. I know in this community there are drugs. We need to get rid of those drugs. We need to find a way to deal with things. And we have to take a very strong approach to that, because if those of you that were with us when we walked to every dealer's house a few years ago, it kind of identified those who were, that we know you're doing that. At nighttime, they come in. At nighttime, they drop cars off down the flats and they burn cars, and we get blamed for that. We need to find a way to stop those activities happening at night. We need this community to be safe. This might not feel comfortable in a plan that I've seen work in other parts of the country, where they identified sites of entry on First Nations. How we can use technology to identify transportation coming in at night. I think that's the only way for a while we're going to be able to identify what takes place on this reserve when everybody's sleeping. We need to start looking at, the entry points, and we have to work with another First Nation that's right here, and work with them to try to build a partnership to help our elders and help band members from being harassed at night. We have to look at anti-bullying scenarios, and we have to build this up to become a safer reserve, and we can do that. It's gonna take a little bit of work, but we can definitely find a way to deal with it, because it's been going on way too long. The drugs in this community, the dangers that exist at night, let's tackle that. Let's start working and getting this place safe so the elders can sleep better at night. Anyway.
So, first of all, the police are available 24 hours. There is, right now, unfortunately, just like anyone else, you get sick, you have children, you take parental leave, you go away for training. We have a complement of 4 officers, and at any one time, their personal lives also matter, and they find themselves not available to work on their jobs just like the rest of us. So yes, do we have a shortage of First Nation Chippewa police? Absolutely. Do we have a mechanism in place to provide 24-hour service? Yes, we do. That mechanism is being somewhat stood up through the Ontario First Nation Policing Agreement, which actually comes to a close. It comes to an end in March of 2018, so we've got some work ahead of us in terms of what that agreement could look like for us going forward. But the reality is there's a reason why it was beneficial for Chippewa Metzy United Police to come under one roof. It's for those reasons. We can't ever predict when an officer is going to be not available, and then with that type of coordination, they can talk amongst themselves and informally know how to cover one another first internally as First Nation police officers. I know how much it means to people in the community that we have First Nation policing here. Absolutely, totally agree with that. The reality is that sometimes that can happen, and we do have an arrangement with OPP to come in when there is First Nation policing available to take the call. That ensures that there is 24-hour service for whoever makes the call, so there's some sort of response no matter what. That is the current reality of our policing services now. That doesn't mean that we can't think about different options and different ways of working in terms of keeping people safe. We've got a Justice Department actively working on alternative dispute resolutions, actively working on anti-bullying initiatives, youth justice initiatives, all those things that help young people choose different paths that might put them in danger or put our community in danger for the choices they're making, for example. You got you.
I do agree that we do need OPP around here, but I also agree that we also have 3 First Nations. We have those police there that are on those, that are from those First Nations. So why can't we have 24/7 care and have our own police and do that? You get an OPP officer come in here, he doesn't know the situation. Why couldn't we have an alternative justice system where you have people within your family? Like I said, in my family, if something happens, they call me. I've done it in the past with my brother, when there was a situation where their OPP were involved. They were in a house, the OPP were going to go in because he had arms, and he was in possession of guns, just like every hunter has, right? So they were going to go in there, and they were going to, somebody would got hurt, let's put it that way. OPP don't know what's going on. All they know is that there's guns in the house. They called me and I happened to show up and I said, give me 5 minutes, I'll go in there, I'll talk to my brother, he doesn't know what's going on. We went in there, I talked to him, he gave himself up, the police went in, everything was okay. There were 6 people in that house. If the OPP would have went in without having someone from the family go in to talk to them and bring them out, you probably would have been standing there with 6 people dying. Because OPP doesn't, they don't ask questions, they shoot and they ask questions later. We know our people, we know who our families are. We have people in our families that you can go to and talk to and that can go into few situations. That's happening in other families as well right now. That's not just in my family, I know that. That's happening in other families as well. So I think that if we have, that's a good segue too, because there is a drug meeting coming up in the community here on July 19th at 5 o'clock. There's a feast a bus will go around and pick everyone up, and we're going to talk about the drug situation. So you'll see that in the flyer coming out in March.
Thank you to our chief candidates for answering those questions. So we do have 2 more questions here, and then we're going to cut off the chief candidates. You're only going to have a minute to answer each of these questions, because believe it or not, we're almost running to an hour, and we would like to get the council candidates going here at around 7:30, and have a period in between. So the next question, and we're going to start with Leslie here, is going to be, each of you have served in some political capacity in the past. Please list the real political outcomes you have started, led, and achieved in your political career.
Sorry, that one. Yeah, 1 minute. So I'm proud of the fact that we've done some work on the duty consult, and we've got now with the which is a protocol with which to go to external parties who are seeking to work in the territory. This is in direct response to the Supreme Court case. I'm also proud of the fact that we have developed, I guess, an approach in terms of how to separate the political from the administrative work. So we work really hard to separate the development part from councillors being part of that, so they can do their work as for-profit. We've worked really hard to pressure and put the right amount of pressure in terms of what they need to do in producing their audits going forward. Land claim trust as well. I feel very proud that we've worked to develop a focus in terms of these strategies and working amongst departments across on youth initiatives. You're seeing time's up.
Any other question as well?
Same question.
Same question.
Political work has been so exciting for me. But I do want to take on the one that really stands out. It's the environmental protection work, but not just that. It's the work that we did going to the Supreme Court. We're going to set the stage for Canada to have any energy project be recognized by the First Nation they're under. When we win this case, we're going to have the biggest political win ever in Canada. And I think this is, even on the brighter side of that, we have allies now. People know who Chippewas of the Thames is right now. And I want to show you something. These allies sent another $2,000 tonight for our legal rights. So that brings us up to about $200,000 in donations that we've been able to do. And I think that's the political battle that I feel so comfortable with. There's a lot of things, but definitely one of the highlights. And I appreciate being a part of your political team.
Oh, wow. 1 minute is not long enough. I'm not going to stand up here and say I, because I'm just one person. We're part of a team when you're on the council and chief and council. And you need a good team in order to accomplish a lot of things. I am proud to say that the team that I was part of, we completed 2 trusts. Big Bear Creek Trust is Big Bear Creek, and then a lot of the good things that come out of that ever since then. Another thing is, and I don't know where Raleigh is over there. During our negotiations on Big Bear Creek, Raleigh was one of the ones that played an important role in getting first ever. What really set precedence for all First Nations in Canada was that we got land for land. So 5,120 acres was taken from us. 5,120 acres were returned. That's set precedence. We got Raleigh.
All right, and our last question for the chief candidates for tonight, I'm just going to remind everyone that our chief candidates, I believe, are going to be sticking around. So again, if you have more questions for them, you can talk to them on a more personal level. And the last question is very generic. It's just housing with a question mark.
Oh, that's my question.
Is that your question?
Yeah, I haven't seen any building going on, and I'm just wondering what each of you is going to do to, like, there's only like 200 or 300 houses down here, so that means the rest of the membership's homeless, so we didn't do to get roof over our
housing plan. So again, Chief Candidate, she'll have 1 minute, I understand it was like fairly quick, and then we'll have a really quick, okay? So let's start with you.
Okay, oh geez, this is a hard question. Housing. 1 minute, okay. Well, I'm not gonna stand here and promise everybody a house. What I'm gonna do is that we have to take a look at the situation. We have a lot of people that need houses. We don't have enough rental units. We need to start generating our own source revenue. We need to start committing some of those dollars that we have out of those trusts. We need to start looking at spending closely, and we need to start allocating some dollars for housing. Because I know a lot of people have the luxury of living on a First Nation, but in order to have a house, you have to have land, and we don't have that much land. So we're gonna have to start building, I would say townhouses. We're gonna have to start building up, as one councillor said, for Audi. I'll give you the credit again because he had that idea. We gotta start building up because we don't have that much land. In order to build a house, you need land. So we need to increase our land base. And with that, Audi, another segue, begrudge for that because that Big Bear Creek thing, we have land there that we can start building houses on. So that's another thing. Begrudge.
Housing, it takes people to create the economy. We need people here. We need people that want to live here in housing that's available, that's safe, that has the opportunity for them to afford that. Our infrastructure is in danger. It's very fragile right now. In order to accommodate housing right now, we have to build that infrastructure in mold and in some very bad housing conditions. We need to identify that. We need to take a real serious look at how our people are living because if we don't fix our infrastructure, it's not going to get better. In fact, it's going to go the other way. It's going to get worse. So we have to have a sensible work plan to build these houses that people can be proud of. And I think when they're proud of their houses, we see the effects of that. People come onto our reserve and want to be here, and they want to build a house here. There's a lot of people with land here that need a reason to come here. Let's give them that reason. Let's build nice houses. Let's find a way to make this place a place where people want to come and live. And that starts with housing.
One of the things that I've certainly focused on, which part focused on, is what is the current state of the housing account. And as you can tell from the Mazinga, there's lots of work to do in terms of rewriting past loans and developing a culture shift in terms of payment in relation to contract between the nation and members. I feel strongly that part of that relationship has to do with our governance in terms of how we make you aware of what you owe. That work has been undertaken, and lots of good work has happened in the housing department as a result of that, getting all of that up to speed so that you can know exactly what it is that you're owing. That's just the beginning. I think a part of what has to happen is we actually have to change a culture shift in how we think about asset management. So we're no longer looking and begging for dollars to build houses. We're creating equity and assets in properties that we own on reserve that our people can live in. We build partnerships with folks like Habitat for Humanity and others who will help fund that at equitable prices that we can make a return while at the same time housing our people.
So that concludes our chief Q&A portion for tonight. I just want to thank all of our candidates who come out tonight, take that time to spend with our membership just to answer some questions. Thank you so much for letting us put you on the spot. Everyone did wonderfully. It just thanks to Maurice again for giving those regrets on behalf of Larry French as well. Again, they are going to be available for questions, so if anybody wants to go ahead and pick their brains, feel free to do so. We're going to take a 10-minute break, just really quick. I realized I was going to ask everybody was hot in here or just me. Go have a quick puff. I know everybody needs to. We'll be back with our counselors in the front. Thanks. The portion, the counselor candidate question portion open and started again. So again, for anyone who might have missed it earlier, we do have some ground rules, some respectable rules here for our candidates here tonight in regards to the questions that we do have for some of the candidates. Again, I'm your moderator. My name is Kristen. I'll be guiding you through tonight. Right off the bat, we have 3 questions for our counselor candidates.
And all of them had a chance to see at least 2 of those questions ahead of the time. So the first question that we're going to give to our counselors right now, and they're only going to have 1 minute to introduce themselves. So a minute goes by quick. My suggestion for everyone is, just because there is about 11 of you now, if you think about 1 minute, times 11, transition, each question is going to probably take us about 20 minutes to get through. So we have 3 questions for you. And then we do have 1 question from the floor, okay? So I'll give the mic. I'll start at this end first, because it's just easier for me. So 1 minute just to stand up, introduce yourself to everyone. And then I'm just going to remind you, we have Candace right here. Hi there. So Candace has a yellow card. Yellow card means, is that 15 seconds? 15 seconds you have left, so that just gives you a chance to wrap it up, and then red means your time is done. We do ask that you do wrap it up in time, just to be respectful of everybody else and give everybody a chance to speak as well. If you're not wrapping it up, I come along, okay? All right, so just giving you a minute to introduce yourself.
My name is Raymond Deliri. Obviously, I'm from here. I served 2 years on council. Prior to that, I was the senior policy advisor, negotiations advisor for about 4 or 5 years. I'm currently the executive director of Los Native Family Healing Services. Got a staff of about 30 people. Run a lot of programs and services for many of our community members in the city. I'm a loving husband and father. I have 3 children. I live over across from the old daycare. U.S.
My name is Robert Grossback. I've been in council for 8 years, it'll be 10 if I get in this time. I've done mostly all the infrastructure on this reserve at one time or another to build most of these buildings. I have 12 grandchildren. I have 3 siblings that are mine that I'm very proud of, and I'd like to thank all these people that took the time to come out and listen to these candidates down. You know, we have some big problems down here, and I just hope that I can be some help to straighten them up. That's all. Thank you.
Bonjour, application d'emploi de Nicolas Mongodem. You're probably wondering why I'm up here again. Prior to this, I was a student at Western. It's hard to be a student at Western when you have the Dakota pipeline going on, you have your problems and your things going on back home. And I thought, you know what, I have a chance to go back to school in September, but my people need me too. So I talked to my family. When I mean my family, I talked to my daughters and I talked to my grandchildren, who are only 5, 6, 7, and 8. And I told them that what I wanted to do, that I wanted to return back to this way. And what that meant is sacrificing a lot of my family time away from them. It's with their blessing that I want to get back into this political thing to help my people, so you watch.
Hi, my name is Fred Albert. I think I stole out here. Whoa, froze. I'll work it out in a second here. Give me a minute, okay? I go on to the next one. No. I have 3 children. One's a police officer, the other one went to school for engineering. My daughter works for the daycare for the reserve here, and I worked on the outside for 30 years. I moved off the reserve for a few years, come back in 1983, raised a family here. I made sure they got their education. I worked for the CAW union for about 8 years as a union representative. I talked to Buzzard Grove, like Whitey Ford, that was his name. They were the presidents of the union at the time.
Okay, don't start the clock. Okay, start the clock. My name is Denise Beeswax. I'm an advocate and an activist. I've lobbied all levels of government over the years, for years and years and years, and I lobby government, all levels of government, and I always keep fighting there until I get what we need and what we, I don't stop. I'm relentless. I keep pushing the ball forward. I'm glad to pass the ball and to have people carry the ball like on the community garden there, and that's going good. Started some initiatives around here. One of the biggest things is initiative. I'd like to do more to get more people to get involved on a regular basis and to have them come out and keep them coming out and appreciate and recognize and I think most people just want to be accepted and recognized and anyways, my name is Denise Beeswax, and I will be honored if you vote for me, and I will do the best I can for all of us. Okay, just one more thing is I did advocate for satellite band office. Well, we're just about there. We got the Justice Department open at Alosha. We're open for business 8:30 to 4:30, and so that's like the first step for that. And proud to be working with the Justice Department on a lot of stuff, and I'll continue to do that too.
Wow, this is my first time here. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm honored, and I think it's an honor to be nominated and to help my people and to serve you hopefully in the next term, these next 2 years. I am the youngest of 4. My parents is Sanford and Stella Birch. I have been employed with St. Joe's Hospital for 25 years. And through all that time, I graduated from high school. I went to Fanshawe. I got my healthcare aid, went further. I got my lab papers, went further than that, delved into nursing, right? And here I am. And now my life is taking a different direction. So with that, I know that everything is positive. There's a positive change. There's healing. There's endless possibilities for every single one of our members. And hats off to you all. Thank you.
Vijoyanishta, Makatas, Tanjaba, Ishkandigi. And I wanted to just let you know that I have a lot of experience. I have worked for the nation for 44 years. I've been elected official for 38. And I've been involved with everything you see in this First Nation that we've developed in the last 40 years. I work as a team. We all have our own ways and skills, and we like to be able to have people use those skills. So the new council that is coming in, I'm hoping that we can become a team and work together. And that's the only thing we're ever going to have success. But the big thing is having compassion for what you do. That means coming to council on time. That means spending the time there. And the extra 4 or 5 days a month you have to work at being a councillor. So those are the kind of compassion and passions that we need as a councillor. So I hope in the next 2 years to do as much as possible that I've been doing. Thank you.
Hello everybody, thanks for coming out tonight, hearing us and our little spiel and speech and everything we have to offer you. My name is Maurice French. I'm a member of Chippewa. My father's from Chippewa, Larry French. My mother was Lois Brissette. She was from Bad River, Medeva Lodge. I'm 45 years old, and I've been a member of this nation for 45 years. I just want to say I'm married 18 years to my wife. We've been together for 30 years. 3 children. Kyle is 23, works at band office, he's justice coordinator. Cole is 17, he's in civil engineering this fall at Fanshawe. I got a 13-year-old daughter, Courtney, that's representing Team Canada in Sweden, Finland this year for 10 days over the holidays. Pretty exciting. Worked 15 years in the casino industry. I've opened Brantford, Grandma, and Seneca, New York casinos. trained dealers, supervisors, floor staff, 5 years as well as the recycling industry. So I hope to bring those skills back to reserve, have some to offer, and hope that we can get a casino going here one day. We wish.
Bonjour, Vishna. Din Gabina, my English name is Carolyn Henry. I want to start by saying miigwech for allowing me to serve you for 2 years. I've learned a lot. I've got a lot to learn, and I'll never stop learning. A little bit about myself. I think the political question will come later. My mother and father, George and Trusley Henry, I'm very proud to be their daughter. I'm a single mother of Carson Summers, who is 18 years old, and she is the only Indigenous student in the Western Business Program right now, an honors program. I'm very proud of my community. I'm involved in the community. I play sports here. I work here, and that's been the biggest gift that I've received, is being allowed to work with our people. I'm here on a daily basis with our community members in the urban centers, and I really appreciate them opening their lives to me to learn more about our community. Miigwech.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Warren Huff. I have 4 children, 11 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandson. And he's getting big, and he's getting tall, and I'm here for them. And I have to keep in mind for the rest of the children here as well that's growing up here in Chippewa as well as officer. My background, I've attended Fanshawe College in business. I have a counseling certificate, attended Sault Ste. Marie College, and I worked in community development in the City of London for 5 years. I worked for Chippewa here as education counselor for 13 years. And so I think I've got a solid background when it comes to community development, and I want to continue in that area as a counselor. So I should say on voting day, vote for Warren Huff. And my strength is going to be community development. I also sat as chair of finance and understand the band finances. And at one point, we got our finances down to about a $200,000 deficit. And so I have to make sure we address that again. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. It's nice to see all of you out here tonight. I'm Darlene Whitecalf. My spirit name is Gigado Oxalpe. And that means bright talking woman for those of you who don't know what I'm saying. I think that I bring a lot of experience to Chippewa. I'm in my 6th term. So that's 12 consecutive years that I have been on as your counselor. With that brings experience in all areas, because each council has unique ways of doing things. I have 4 children, 10 grandchildren, and a very supportive family. A mother who actually takes very good care of me. So I'm very fortunate, and I do have my sisters and brothers who support me as well. Thank you very much.
So thank you, Councillor Candidates, for that great introduction of yourselves. So we'll get right into our first question here for the night, and the councillors have gotten it. That first question is, share your personal background and experience that you feel would help you in your role as councillor. So I know most of you already shared some of your background as it is already. So how do you feel that would help you in your role as a counselor? I'll give you guys 1 minute.
1 minute?
1 minute, yeah.
Well, I have a lot of experience, and I've worked all over Canada, United States at one point in my life, and I came home and I thought, well, I'd do part of my people back that I got out of it. I just have the experience. I went to school in London, and I just worked. That's all I ever did. And I learned a lot from my mother and father. My mother was a nurse here for years, and she helped a lot of the elderly over the years. And she knows a lot of her, it's passed on. And my dad's a retired farmer now. But like, all it is all my life is worked. And I know how that is, and there's going to be other things that, you know, I have to really think about is the policing and the housing, roads, and if we're going to grow, we're going to need to do these things. And we have to do them soon. Thank you.
I think life experience has given me that, be able to be empathetic to all the types of demographics that we have in our community. My first teacher being my father, he taught me a lot. He was chief for many years. He had a grade 6 education, but he stood up in Parliament. He did a lot. A lot of the old chiefs back then, they got the contribution agreements going. They took over Indian Affairs. They protested in Ottawa and Toronto, and I'm proud to say that I was part of that. He brought me along to a lot of his meetings. So with that, I know what our jurisdiction, I know what it is to assert our jurisdiction over our rights and over our lands. I've been doing it since I was that little girl's age there, and I'm proud of that. I've been on council for 14 years. It has a lot there too, so I had a lot of good teachers. I've
sat on claims for a long, it's now called the Thunderbird Trust for about 6 years, and hopefully that's some knowledge and experience to bring to the table for council. Me as a CW rep at the time, this is in the past, I used to negotiate deals with a lot of people and lawyers and stuff. So hopefully my experience with lawyers and investments and stuff like that will help me out in council, like give me a good idea. Right now, I don't really know how council runs, where the money comes from. I'm being honest with you. So hopefully you could kind of look at my experience from the past, and that way I'll be able to kind of move into council. I'll use guidance from the old elderly councilors that have been here for like 14 years or 15. They'll tell me how it works and what to do. Thank you.
Hi, some of my experience in my background in athletics, where I played on a lot of teams and made a lot of friends, and I have a lot of like really good sportsmanship skills and a lot of good team building skills, and so just saying that, and also as a carpenter, I was a carpenter helper and a carpenter builder, built a lot of houses and stuff, so I kind of know, you know, how to work in a crew and how to keep the job moving along and how to finish up on stuff, and I think that experience helps a lot too, just in being able to get some construction done. And then as a student, I spent years and years in the library, years and years in the stacks studying research and history. I'm a historian. I studied at University of Western Ontario Graduate School of Journalism, where I graduated in 1992, and spent years and years in those libraries and searching up all kinds of historical information, facts that will be of benefit to my job as a counselor, with a lot of legal background in native law, and with the background to where we got to what we got to do to come up with some more work on treaties and stuff like that. And anyways, a lot of legal background and a lot of work with government.
Wow, 2 years, okay. First of all, I'd like to address the issues, our needs, and our solutions. I'd like to engage our youth and elders and to support them, and most of all, to listen to them and have their voices heard. I think education is a key factor. Safe drinking water, adequate roads, safe roads, and adequate housing. I believe in lifelong learning. I don't believe that it stops at a certain time. I think life is full of learning. So that's what I'd like to bring forward. I have a dream. I have a dream for this nation. And I'm going to share it with you. I would like to have one day here our own college, our own university, and have that with pride in our governance, in our leadership, in our community, and making decisions together and hearing their voices. Because I do not believe that we be all and all in this table that we sit in the council chambers. Your voices need to be heard.
So we're on the first question or the second one?
You're on the first question about your personal background and experience that you feel would help you in your role as counselor.
Okay. One of the things that I've spent a lot of time with elders over the 6 years that I've been on out west, and I know a lot of people right across the country in terms of getting information and not reinventing the wheel on a lot of the things that you're doing. And many nations have advanced quite far. We have advanced quite far. We're actually leadership. We have those kind of experience that we had with negotiating 3 land claims, also patriating the Constitution from the British to here. That is part of our people that did that. So with that kind of experience and with systems put in place, I'd like to continue to see us have standards here, like laws, regulations, and I'll continue to try to work with that.
Many things you can put down, I guess, for sure, your personal background. Probably the first one I started was about 72 with my father Larry. We actually were in Washington, D.C. from the BIA offices, and that was our first experience. 77 was the longest walk, and we walked to Washington, D.C. Everybody knows about that. If you don't, you should read about it. While I was in the Wash, Ocha, I've been a First Nations right activist all my life. Born into it, A member, proud A member. Not much you can say about it. I'll always be there for my people. I'll always fight for our rights, and when it comes to physical confrontation, and so be it. It's about time we start standing up for what's ours. On the other aspect of it, I got 15 years in the casino industry. I can also be a nice guy. I can work with people. I can get along with people. That's pretty simple. But I want to bring it here in the casino. We talk about deficit. We talk about how we're in the hole, 5 million. We're going to cut back here, cut back there. Let's start making our own. We're in the prime quarter. 112,000 cars a day go by us, 401, 402. We're smack dab in the middle. We're sitting right here watching all these vehicles go by, all the traffic go by. Still don't have nothing. Thank you, Rich.
Carolyn again. So I'm just going to kind of run through my education background because I really believe in education. So started here at Mount Elgin, on to Westminster Central, Saunders Secondary, went on to University in Ottawa, then Queens for the teachers program. Got my undergrad bachelor's in criminology and psychology. After that, I pursued my master's of education with a specific focus on Indigenous policy leadership. After that, I went on to Corrections College and graduated youth and adult Correction College. But the most important thing about all of that is the journey and the people that I met, the friends that I made along the way, whether I've known them since I was 7 or 8 or since I was 40 years old in my master's program. I don't want to criticize Western education because I was fortunate that
many of my instructors in province were Indigenous. And I think we have to really take hold of that, because there's a growing population of Indigenous teachers, and we need to utilize that. All right, go ahead.
Hi, it's Warren. I was first elected to council in 1999, and since then I've served 12 years on council, sitting on various committees and representing Chippewa and various organizations. And before that, I sat on Cottfn Development Corporation. I was asked by the district chief to be the representative. And one of the things I always remember, and I asked him, why me? Why do you want me as your representative to the district chief on Cottfn Development Corporation? And they said, because I speak up. They may not like everything that I say, but I do speak up. And so I said, yeah, I'll be your representative. I did ask them what I said they didn't like, they never did answer me. But I will speak up, and I will say what has to be said, and it will be, again, coming from the heart, coming from what I've heard from other people. My other background is I was a researcher on Chippewa's first comprehensive community plan back in the early 80s. And I was instrumental in pushing Chippewa doing their second comprehensive plan. And I believe that's one of the documents that we can use to go forward. And it helps us get us funding that we need. Thank you.
Hey. So, what is the experience that I feel helps me to be a counselor on Chippewa of the Thames? I'm just going to mention, prior to coming home, I owned and operated 3 family businesses. They were international businesses, so I have a lot of experience in operating and hiring staff and doing that. I also am a therapist by trade, so I have a strong understanding of people and their needs. And so when we talk about listening, sometimes I hear by looking and knowing that we need to do something in a different area. So I believe that continuity and the knowledge of issues, recent issues with my last 12 years, will bring me forward to serving you well for the next 2 years.
Yeah, it's like a small jog to the other end of the room. Man,
Since birth, 35 years or so, I guess I'm 35 years old, I've been Anishinaabe. The core of who I am is Anishinaabe. I can understand most of our language. I can survive off the land. If there was ever a zombie crisis, I could teach us all how to live off the land, build wigwams, lodges, make fires without matches or lighters. And so in everything that I do, it's about being an Anishinaabe. I was at Idrowash and I was at Oakland. I've been an activist, been a part of the American Indian movement as well. And so regardless of who I speak to in government or forge partnerships with, the foundation of who I am at the center never crumbles. I'm an Anishinaabe and I'm from this community, and I uphold that well.
Question. Again, so we're going to give you 2 minutes on this question. So this next question, just keep in mind, I know you do have it there in front of you. Second question is, if elected, what do you hope to accomplish over the 2-year term and how are you going to do that? So I guess my suggestion to you is to pick a topic, probably whichever one you feel strongest about, how it is that you bring it to the table, and how it is you're going to go about accomplishing that with your team and with the nation. Is that clear to everybody? Good to go. All right.
Okay, 2 minutes. Well, again, I want the nation to be self-sufficient. I need projects that are going to bring and generate money. Addressing the mold and housing problem, fixing our seniors' pension fund so that it lasts, help members off the reserve. We need our own child welfare system. We need to assert our jurisdictions. We need to assert our laws over our traditional territories. There are court cases that have been set, that set precedents to help us do that. We need to increase the language and culture in the schools, accountability and transparency, community input, having monthly meetings. Like any good leader, whether it be chief or council, I need a good team to help me who are not afraid to make the hard and tough decisions that will take this nation where it needs to be. I don't need to spend 2 years out of my life and away from my family to squabble with our own people over petty things at the council table. Our discussions are not in Toronto and Ottawa, but with the Crown. We have many things to discuss and we need to make decisions on, and I'm not talking about the chief and council, I'm talking as a nation. My idea of accountability and transparency is to include all members by having monthly engagement sessions that deal with a variety of issues. Those engagement sessions would be webcasted so that our members living off the reserve can take part in the discussions and most importantly in being part of the decision making as well. We would need to develop a debt recovery plan so that our children and grandchildren don't inherit the financial repercussions of its leadership's bad decisions any longer. We need to bring our children home, and we need to become those true sovereign nations that our ancestors fought and died for our people to be. We need to assert our jurisdiction over our lands, over our own people, and over our own nations. As sovereign nations, we need to develop our own laws that govern ourselves, and we know we need to assert our own rights and our own laws and on the land that our Creator had originally bestowed onto Indigenous people. Neglect.
Well, I can't promise anything. Just getting the council here, but what do you call it? Like, I'd like to see the raising the standard of living in our community. What I mean by that is we have all this money invested. How much money is that invested into our community? Like the people themselves. We have people that have degrees, but they need to go further. And we're not giving them that money. We're holding back. We're sitting there with $300 million. How much of that money is invested here into our roads, into our water tower, into our buildings? There isn't much, that I can see. Like, what about jobs? There was no creation of jobs, barely. Everybody can't work for the band office. That's put out a lot of money, right? This is all the stuff I can see, like as I go around the reserve. That's why I've been thinking about running for council. And I kind of like to change that. Let's start investing in our people and in our community with all this money we have, these committees, with Thunderbird Trust. Okay, yeah, we're buying new equipment and stuff, but we need more. Let's invest into our people, whatever they need. Let's give them that doctorate, that master's. Like, I think it would be great to have a lot of people educated. Like, yeah, I have a certificate in Kaizen management. That means I can run a whole factory from start to finish. But yet, it was the company that sent me here. Thank you.
Thank you. I entirely agree with Fred. Like, why are we investing in the stock market? Them are the guys that robbed us in the first place. You know, we need to invest in our own people. You know, we're not J.D. Rockefeller. We're more like J.D. Clampett. We got needs, man. We got bad plumbing. We got freaking, you know, empty refrigerators and broken down vehicles and people sleeping on park benches. Yeah, and we got a lot of people that, you know, just get kicked to the curb because, you know, we're not doing, you know, what we should. Our responsibility to take care of some of these
people that have special needs and handicaps, we're just like ready to ship them off. Instead of bringing them home, make a place for them where we could, give them some assisted living and take care of our own responsibility, like our children, shipping them out, shipping them off, bring them home, build an orphanage if that's what we need. Take care of our responsibility as people, looking after people. And I'll do what I can to get everybody, bring everybody in and get them, to lend, like everybody's got talents to lend, right? Some people can paint, some people can hammer nail, like we can build stuff. We can work together as a community like we used to without waiting for government approval either. We can just grab some saws and hammers and stuff and get doing it. A little bit of wood and stuff and hard work. Get some work going, man. Too many business suits, not enough work boots. So I'm gonna get y'all work boots and get working. That's what I like to see. People working, not sitting on their ass so much. Okay, anyways, the office work's important too. It is, I know it is, and I appreciate it too. But even they need a break from that table, sitting at the desk and get out and do something else, kick the ball or something. Okay, if elected, what would I hope to accomplish in a 2-year term? I will, I would like to, that's what I would like to accomplish, some active investment in the community and hard work.
Okay, so if elected, the next 2 years, wow, okay. First off, I'd like to hone in on our wisdom, our love, our respect, our honesty, our bravery, humanity, and our truth. Those would be our 7 grandfather teachings. I'd like to make a place here for lifelong learning. I'd like to bring that dream, that college, or that university here on Chippewa, so that our kids will stay within our community and be a proud member of this community going forward and pass it on to generation. Infrastructure, that's huge to me. All of these are huge to me. Health is huge to me. That's a biggie. I like to work with that. The mental, the emotional, the physical, the spiritual well-being, all of those key factors. Safe drinking water, safe housing, adequate roads, safe roads. Hey, how about quarterly reports? How about us going into the community and coming to you instead of waiting for you to come to us? How about opening those doors? When attending councils before in this 2-year term, I was always asked, well, why don't you bring some people with you? Or why aren't they coming? Well, maybe we need to go to them. Maybe that's the key factor, I don't know. But we're sure going to try. So issues and needs and solutions and engaging our youth, right to our elders. And how about listening to everything they have to say? Not talking above them, not talking to them, listening to their needs. And going forward, how about us all working together? Hand in hand, because we're stronger together than we are apart. But
there are 5 things that I want to accomplish in the next 2 years if I get reelected. The first one is we talk about getting employment in this community and opportunity for business. But we haven't been able to really do much about it because we had a lack of money. Now we have money. So I'm going to encourage the council and the chief that we now look at developing our people, because housing and a lot of our problems will go away if you are self-sufficient and can have a job. So I think it's important that we encourage the council, some of us older councilors, to now get people development, because we've built a lot of materialistic things, buildings and so on. So I want to really spend a lot of time. And the next 4 things I want to accomplish would accomplish putting jobs in these places. The second priority would be infrastructure. We can build our own roads here. We have a good training department. We can train them to build their own roads, and also that's not rocket science to build a road. As long as we have it engineered properly, we can do that. The other thing is we can also, because I have a portfolio of environment and lands, there's going to be $100 million to restore the lands and the swamps and the different wetlands. If we can train our people to get back to the bush and do the things that we were actually brought up in, we can start jobs. And because we're protecting the watershed, Thames River, right from its headwaters down to the mouth, we would get those jobs to plant those trees and all those things that would restore this climate change on us. The next area that I'm very much interested in is the culture. We have a lost identity in our community. We need to get the language back. We need to get cultural things, and we need to and then finally, we got to engage. We have to get people to understand what we're doing. Thank you very much.
Well, the common theme tonight so far seems to be no money, lack of jobs. It seems to be ever since I was young, that's all I remember around here is lack of money, no jobs. You know, we have a little bit of money we give to OLG, we have a little bit of money we give to the government. It's never enough. So we can start creating our own money, start doing our own thing. Then we can call it OSR, because right now it's not our own source of revenue, it's our stolen resources. We're only stealing from ourselves. You're robbing Peter to pay Paul. You're robbing Peter the native guy to pay Paul the white guy. And I've had enough of it, I'm sure you've had enough of it. So I think this year, in the next 2 years, I'm not making you no promises. All I'm going to do is do things. I'm going to look into the marijuana industry, which is a $7 billion industry. We haven't even touched on it, and we're going to miss out on it. And we're looking at the casino. I told you, we're right smack dab in the heartland. 112,000 vehicles a day bypass us, just minutes away. And here we sit. We'll go to the slots in London. We'll rail some cash away. We'll go to wherever we want to go. Ram, play some money. I've worked for 15 years, opened 3 casinos, and seen the money they've made. Last year, Senator put out that they paid $1.5 billion in taxes in 16 years. They paid that in taxes to the government. $1.5 billion. They made $4.5 billion. That's the kind of money they have. That's the kind of money we have. We stand up and kind of get off our ass, pardon my French, and do something. All we do is sit and talk, sit and talk, and sit and talk. And if we do the next council, I'll do the next council. Well, I'm not going to sit and talk. I'm going to do something. I'm going to show you what I've learned, my skills. I've brought my skills back here a few times. I've been turned away. Maybe I'm overqualified. I don't know. But I can tell you what, I'm qualified for this business, and I'm going to bring it here. I'm going to make sure. Via London just announced Gateway, big plan. Did they include us? Did they say, oh, Chippewa, come on board with us? We included them in 96 and again in 99, I believe it was. We included London. Ask them. Make sure they're included. Do they include us? Does that Mayor Matt Brown include us? Never. So you know what? Do we get off our asses, people, and do our own thing? And then we'll always be in the same situation. So, make wait for your time.
Awesome. All right, so 2 minutes. Chippewa is growing. Population is kind of steady, but the programs, the departments are growing, the projects are growing. And Chippewa as a team on council and as a team and the staff, they really need to start from a good base. So to start, we had to address this deficit. It was necessary. We were not going to get any kind of housing loans without addressing it. And we still are addressing it. So that, to me, in the next 2 years is the focus, is to get us back in the good books. We have to look good to the lenders. We have to have good credit. Chippewa as a nation has to have a strong business portfolio to move forward. Moving alongside the debt recovery is the tobacco program. It is our sovereign Chippewa tobacco product. We own it, we control it. Ontario doesn't tell us how to sell it. they will end up having to pay us revenue from their sales. That's what the agreement could look like if we get the support and the benefits to our community. It'll be nothing like we've seen before, you know. We can look envious at Six Nations, at Squaxin in Washington. We don't have to do that anymore. That could be us. And that could further support all these other programs that we need. We're talking about policing, we're talking about the drug initiative. All of those programs can be funded by that revenue stream, and I firmly believe in it, and I think we have to pursue it. So I've only got a minute left, I think.
15 seconds.
Another thing that I need to accomplish in this term, and my heart is into it, I was elected to be board president of Minoski Family and Services. And we have made a new goal to be designated within 2 years. So within 2 years, my goal, and along with my fellow board members, is to get CAS out of our frickin' lives, okay? And I can't say that enough, how much we need them out and in our own healthy homes. All right. I had more to say, but.
So what can I accomplish in 2 years? I can tell you from sitting in council in the past, it's tough. Because of our needs and what we have to do. 2 years is a very short time. So I plan to put some plans in place that will carry us beyond 2 years. And one of those plans we did in the past was the community plan. So that we've been out to the community and said, what would you like to see? And now we got to start implementing some of those community plans. And I think we have the staff that can start doing that. And I think as council, we've got to allow the staff to do that. The other issue is infrastructure. As we talk about bringing businesses and talk about building houses, we're limited as to what we can do until we address our infrastructure needs. Because we can't attract any businesses until we have at least solved our water issue. And you've all been on the roads. You know, there's not too many people that want to come down and ride around on our roads until we fix them. So one of the priorities is going to have to be fix the infrastructure, address the infrastructure needs, and then we can start attracting businesses. And we can start attracting businesses that will hire our members and create that employment. Again, any community you go to, small business is generally the opportunity, I guess, for people to have jobs. They're one of the biggest job producers in any community when it comes to employment and small business. So we got to concentrate on it as well. So again, fixing infrastructure. And again, my background is being community development. So that's why I keep pushing the community plan, because there's things in there that we've got to address. But having said that, we can't do it all at once because we just don't have the funding. So we start looking at prosperity for the nation, and then start looking at prosperity for individuals. Again, coming back to let's fix our infrastructure. And we need to build homes. In order to have a better economy, we need people living here, not just coming here to work and then leaving and taking the money with them. So we need to address those issues before we can start looking at prosperity, before we can start attracting businesses, and before we can start creating employment. So those are the things I'll be pushing for the next 2 years. Thank you.
I'm going to try to follow the cheat sheet here because all of you know how long I can talk. In my past 6 terms, I have never promised you anything except to work hard, dedicate my life to Chippewa of the Tens, and be there for our members. My responsibility is to Chippewa of the Tens. I've heard a number of issues that we need to take care of. They're all important. Warren just mentioned the CCP, and it's important that we prioritize, not jump all over the map. We have a $3 million deficit from people not paying for their houses. So how do you move forward? What do you do to help that? How do you change how we do business? So we need a number of things, but we need to prioritize. Teamwork. Teamwork, the one thing that we got to look at is we have great staff. Staff do a wonderful job. We need to listen to them. I will be lobbying to go back to the committee structure, because that's where I knew what was happening in all departments. Because our staff are knowledgeable about the issues and they bring them to us. That's how we found out that we were $3 million in deficit in housing. The other thing that I wanted to mention is we also have many role models. Chippewa has many role models. Very many success stories. Instead of looking at the negative, we need to start looking at the positive. I know I hear about our students' graduations, and I hear about some of the major accomplishments of our people, and I'm so proud of them. So we do need to start making sure that they're recognized.
So the only thing that I can promise you is that I'll take care of myself first. I'll take care of my family. And if I do that, then I'll be a very good counselor for you. And I'll have faith in our staff also. I think we need to hold up our staff and the volunteers in the community and the people who are doing what they do just out of the goodness of their heart, because there's a lot of good people here that are working for us, that are volunteering for us. And we need to focus on their strengths and build their strengths, because those are the people that we all rely on to run our programs and services and to take care of people. And they need so much more credit than probably what they deserve, or what they get, sorry. I've got experience in lobbying, and I can talk about what I want to do, but what I have been able to do is secure $250,000 this past term for child welfare funding. And that's to gain jurisdiction in child welfare. That means 80,000 of that goes into direct programming for families who really need it, for families to stay off and out of the CAS files. And in the past 2 years, I've been able to successfully start up and launch the Chippewa's Attempt Solar Corporation, which over a 20-year period or lifespan will bring back $2.8 million in profit to the community. And it's the first and only viable business that's been done that way. I don't think there's anybody else that can say that they've done something like that. So I'll continue to lobby. I've met with 20 different offices of provincial and federal government over the past 2 years. I always ask questions. I'll always scrutinize what's put in front of me, and I'm never afraid of speaking up.
Well, I sit here and listen to all of these ideas, and we need a lot of things. I think what we really need is people to be healthy, and that's the most important thing to me. And they're not. We got major problems that's going to happen. And I don't know how to fix it. And like every family is in the same situation here. And like, sure, we need roads, we need houses, we need all this, but our people's got to be healthy. And once we get that fixed, the rest will all fall into place. Thank you.
Well, I guess I'm going to put both questions together, and I'm going to be really quick. And my name is Audrey E. Wilson. Please don't know me as that. My name is Bill, and I'm very honored to be nominated for become council, because I really do want to be. I want to represent the whole reserve. That means all of you sitting in here. I wish there was more people here. My background experience, I'm a healthcare worker. So that means I've been in many, many people's homes. I know how they think, I know what they want, and I know how they get angry, and they talk. They talk a lot. Anyway, that is where I'm going to go with what I'd like to see done on the reserve is the health and welfare. I mean, Raleigh is quite right there. we do need to be healthy. And to do that, we need to look at our lands, we need to look at the farmers, what they're putting on our lands. There's no bylaws there. I mean, what are they putting on our lands, these farmers? Where is all this cancer coming from? What is making us sick? We need to understand that, and we need to get to the bottom of that. Another thing I'd like to see done, and I don't know why it was stopped, but membership. The membership code is very important, and with our pension plan in the future, it's going to be no more, because we've had 200 plus people come on the reserve from the Bill C-31, and they're still coming. They're still coming. That means our pensions are going to be nil if we don't get that membership code. Policies and procedures need to be followed, and working as a team, not individual kitchen tables. As a team, everybody at that council chamber needs to talk and be on the same level, not one higher than the other. That's why we need the right people in here. Thank you.
I do have a few more questions, and I know we've already been running for 1 hour. So what I'm going to do is, this will be our last questions that we do have. I have 3 of them up here. I'm going to give each one of you a minute to answer them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to break them up into 4. So the first 4 will get the same question, the next 4 will get the same question, and the last 4 will get the next question. If I lost you just now, don't worry. I'll tell you when we're stopping and starting. So our first 4, the first question I have, it says, police work on all 3 nations. Why stop there? Do we really need 3 water plants, 3 garbage trucks, 3 graders? So here's the question that they have for you is, how do you feel about working with our surrounding nations? How can our departments help out? Okay. Kind of sort of clear as well. You're going to answer first, and that's okay. So,
So it's a great novel idea for all 3 nations to work together. And I think that there are very certain things that the nations can work together on. Policing, that might be an area where the nations can work together. Roads and infrastructure, there might be some opportunities there to do joint ventures on creating capital opportunities. But the reality is that we're 3 different nations, we're 3 different cultures, we're 3 different languages. And each of those other 2 communities have a very different style of governing. So not at this current time, maybe 100 years or 200 years into the future, that'll look different. But I think right now is that we need to focus on one simple, practical initiative that we can undertake together. There was this Tri-Council initiative that started in the past council term, but they started talking about everything, recreation, planning activities, event planning, and nothing concrete was done. So as councils, we need to be leadership and not planners. Focus on one practical initiative and test how we can do that together. Any questions?
Well, you know, the first thing we should do is fix that road between our reserve down there, because I would imagine like everybody has their, you know, their cars in bad shape as it is, but like the road down there is just about impassable, and it's right in the middle of our First Nation. And I know I've sat and I've talked to Muncie, and they have different views of it. And my mother was from Muncie, so I don't know what it's going to take to fix that. Because there's things been done to each nation in the past, and those wounds ain't healed yet. And I don't know how it is to fix that. I think it's a very hard. I would like everybody to get along and go forward, but in the real world, it isn't going to happen until we kind of heal each other from the problems that former councils they created. And that's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
I feel great about our surrounding nations working together. I think it's necessary, I think it's needed, and it should have been always that way. Yes, they are completely different, but guess what? I'm Oneida, I'm Chippewa, I'm Delaware. So it's quite appropriate that we do work together. And with the roads and everything else like that, those fans need to step up to the plate. I'm not going to just say, oh, poor. They're poorer than us. They need to step up to the plate. Muncie needs to step up to the plate. They have different, wishes, what they want to do. Oneida has their traditional ways. We have our traditional ways. So what's right? They're all right. And we all need to work it in together so we all get along. I remember back in the day when I was a kid but I can't go spewing on because she's already throwing me this card. It is very important, but I think an agenda needs to be done, and if there is a tri-council with all three, then there should be minutes, and those minutes should be put out there for everyone to see what is being done.
Okay. So, strength is in numbers, right? It only makes sense that we all work together. All our children are intertwined. We're all mixed in one. I have 2 children that are from Oneida as well. When it goes to, do we need 3 water plants, 3 garbage trucks, and 3 graders? Yes, we do. The roads are big. We all need to take care of our things within our own territory as well. We start pulling those things together, the government's going to see that. And they're going to say, you know what? You don't need that much, and you don't need that much, and you don't need that much. We'll put it all together, and then you guys can squabble and fight over it. That's not what we want. But that's what they want, is to divide and conquer. We need to stay together on some issues. Bill's got a good point through tri-council. When it comes to drugs and policing, yes, of course. Ray's also right. We're all different, and we need to respect them, and we need to honor that. But
so for the next 4 councillors, I do have a different question for you. The next question I had from the floor is, what would be your strategies to help with drug use?
Well, that's a little tough one. Drug use. Well, the strategy is education for drugs. And educating families, not just the children, but the adults too, because a lot of adults are into the drugs. Children, I just heard some bad news just lately, but I didn't appreciate it too good. It had to deal with drugs. But education is the biggest part, and setting them to rehab. We need to put the money aside, maybe build a rehab center here, and have doctors, psychiatrists, or whatever, to come and help our kids, help our families. Like, it all starts at home. And if the way it keeps going, like, all our children are going to get on drugs. Thank you.
Well, I think we really need to focus on drug abuse. There's a lot of drug abuse going on. There's really, really bad drugs out there. It's not even called drugs anymore, it's poison. And it's poisoning our community members. And it's horrible. It's horrible. I don't know why anybody would take something like that and do that to themselves. And the thing is, I was at a meeting, we are trying to combat this epidemic. And it's just the tip of the iceberg, I'm sorry to say. It's just the tip of the iceberg what we're seeing right now. And we gotta get hard hitting on that, you know? But I was we had a pub meeting, we had beautiful wraps, we had beautiful lunch, we had coffee and muffins, and there was Tim Hortons cards available for anybody that came. Nobody even came to the meeting. We had a meeting about drug addiction, trying to do something about this bad drugs, and nobody even came. And I was kind of mad about that, and I was standing outside, having a cigarette with Nimby, and then the ambulance went by, and there was a girl laying on the ground, overdose.
drug overdose, and then that night another incident where there was a fatality. You know, drug and booze mix. Drug and booze, like, this is fentanyl, this is like some really, really bad, they call it Molly and crystal meth, and it's just horrible, man. And we gotta keep that out of our community. And I will track down the source of that drug, and I'll promise you myself, I will track down the source of anything bad like that, and I will personally escort them to the river. Okay, bye.
Drugs, yeah, we do have that in our community. You know, for years and years and years, it was kind of put under the mat, and we didn't have a problem. It's not here, and oh yeah, we smoke a little weed here, a little weed there, we have a beer here, we have a beer there. But you know what? Somewhere we have to take ownership. And what I mean by that is it starts within the home. We have to talk to our kids. We have to show them a better way. We have to educate them. And with that, a lot of counseling and a lot of mentoring, and yes, a lot of leadership. We'll stand together and fight this. It's a terrible, terrible thing. And we're losing our young people every day. Every day. So, in order to do that, we have to have a really strong justice, a good emergency response. We have to know what the no is, and also know what the why is.
There's so much complexity to handling a disease like drugs, because really the underlying problem is really not really, it's what makes people go for drugs. It's a symptom of a problem, and usually that's poverty. So we have to get more employment for parents, and so they can buy their children good sports clothing and all the things that's needed. I fought for years to get monies into youth, and we did get money because we, in the last year and a half, into the youth, and now we have good programming going on. So that's one way of trying to get drugs out of our community. The other way would be is we make very strong philosophical laws, and we should be making laws that they can't, whoever rents from the Chippewa, that they can't live in these houses if they're selling drugs. The other is that we need to get our own justice system in place so that we can deal with it. And the other thing, we need a detox center here in the community. Thank you.
So the question to the last four councillors I have here, and it's a governance piece in regards to council. How is this next council going to be held accountable? All side the leadership manual, but seems that they can choose what they want to follow. So the question is, how do you see council governing and ethics, roles and conflicts, and enforcing accountability?
Well, I'd say, the last year, we're talking about the last council, be pretty tough for them. I think within the first week, they had 2 councillors resign. And just in the last month and a half, 2 months, we've had another couple councillors resign. And some of the things I think they wrote, the councillors that resigned, were, I think it was about ethics and conflicts and rules and accountability in council. So it's kind of funny you asked me this question when this question should have been for last term. I don't think this question should be for us. But if it is, I think we've got to be on the same page from day one. We can't have change. We can't have independent people that want to run their own thing. We can't have everybody running their own agenda. We've got to have people doing everything on the same page. And like I said, this question was perfect for last council because we don't have half of them anymore. So at that, I'm going to pass it on because I think, you just make this up, or does this ask a question?
It's on the other side, but sorry, I didn't make it up. So just moving forward, how you would see council governing themselves and accountability.
Sounds like Gene wasn't happy with last council. Hey, I hear you, my man. Glitch.
All right. I believe in this. I believe there's a purpose behind every section in here, and there's a reason, and that's to create accountability, reliability, sustainability, continuity. That's what we need for progress. It's not perfect. You can't ever have perfect, but we always have to have progress, and we need this. We want to get out of the Indian Act. And to get out of the Indian Act, we have to respect the manuals that we create. And I didn't create this. This was years and years of work. And here we have a final product. So why not follow it? That's my belief, and I will be following this manual next year.
I sat on a committee that developed the leadership manual, and I believe that we have to hold each other accountable. The leaders have to hold each other accountable, and a community, you have to hold the leadership accountable. So if they're not following the rules, we should be able to see you at our council meeting and say, start following the rules. And I also believe that we have staff that can remind council that you're not following the rules. Get back to what you said you would do. I've said in other organizations where we've hired staff to say, tell us when we're breaking the rules, so make sure we don't break them. And again, it's holding each other accountable. And these are the rules. I guess the leadership manual is our document. It's not Indian Affairs. It's nobody else's but us. And so we're not following it. We're the ones that have to make sure that we straighten out and we do it. And also, the leadership manual was designed that if there's things in there that's not working for us, there is a way in order to fix it so that it does work for the nation. There is an amendment process. So we need to take a look at it and review it and say, if there's things that's not being followed, why? And if there's things that should be followed, we need to make sure that we hold each other accountable. The community as well. Thank you.
I would get a governance question. It's difficult when you don't all start on the same page. We created, and I was on the same committee that Warren was on. Actually, it was that whole council that worked on the leadership manual, and it took us a number of revisits before we ended up on what we wanted to follow. Are there flaws in it? Yes, it does need to be revised, looked at and revised. But it's a starting point. When you don't have orientation, when the council first starts, you're all over the map. Nobody's on the same page. So as you go along in the year and nobody gets on the same page, it's difficult. We need to review and revise some of the policies that we do have in place. Land code is one of them. It's not finished. The election and the membership codes are not finished. I don't understand why. They were started but not worked on to completion. So we do have to get back to that, and we do need to be on the same page. And we do need to have an orientation together.
Just a quick announcement. It says, come on and develop your community action on drugs. Why? Because your case demanded. It's an event that's happening on Wednesday, July the 19th, 2017, starting at 5 p.m. with a meal provided. It's going to be held here in the Chippewa Community Center, and everyone's contribution is needed. I've also been told that there's transportation available as well. There's going to be a bus going around as well. So get out there, wave the bus down, and it'll pick you up and give you a ride on up here. I guess any further questions? I guess speak to Denise, just in regards to transportation and that day.
I was just going to say that I'd like to see everybody here at this meeting about drug action plan, about the drugs and alcohol problem that we have in the community. And I'd like to see everybody at this table come out to this meeting and everybody there, and try to bring 5 friends with you. And then we're going to have another meeting after that. Get them to bring 5 friends, and pretty soon we'll have everybody there.
Nice. So with that, I just like to say thank you to everybody. To everyone who came out and asked questions, it takes, it's a tough exercise to ask questions, and it's also a tough exercise to see if you can answer those questions. And it's a good exercise, I guess, of just being able to engage and speak with the community. So thank you everyone who came out tonight to the candidates night. Just remember, voting is on Saturday, July 22nd, I believe, beginning at 9 a.m. Or shall I say 7 o'clock a.m.